So yeah, I just came back from seeing Captain America: Civil War. Uh, I decided I want to talk about it because this film, Jesus. And there's gonna be spoilers. There's gonna be later on though. I'm gonna first give you my initial thoughts about what I thought about the film, the characters, all that stuff. But there will be spoilers because I have to talk about this film. Um, Essentially, I loved it. If you can't tell by how excited I am from just coming back. I came back from like like 30 minutes ago. But yeah. So essentially, if you don't know what it is, it's essentially a conflict between Captain America and Iron Man and the heroes that chose their individual sides. And over events in the comics, it was more plain and simple. Whose side is who and why. Who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. Because in like the comics, it was like some amateur heroes doing something and facing villains they weren't supposed to face, and people died. Like a whole school, like half a school of kids died, and everything. And then Iron Man felt guilty, even though he wasn't involved in it. But he felt guilty, so he's like, "Hey, yeah, we're gonna sign with the government." And Cap's like, "No, freedom. We shouldn't give our identities away." And everything, and the government quickly turns on him. He's like, "Yeah, arrest him," and he just starts, that starts Civil War because Iron Man comes after him, and throughout the comic you could tell Iron Man's in the wrong. Everything he's doing, like he enlists villains for helping all this stuff. And this movie is different. It's not like a school or anything like that. It's more several events, some more recent than others, and all this stuff, and the combination of Bucky. Bucky's connected. Cap's relationship with Bucky that causes a civil war, and it's not like an all-out war. Like it's like people fighting each other every other second. It's more of because first and foremost, it's a Captain America sequel. It's a sequel to a bunch of soldiers, and you're more dealing with Cap and Bucky's story, but the aspect of Iron Man, Black Widow, and all the other heroes that are on Iron Man's side that signed, with the government, having to come after them because the government sent them after him. And, Captain America has to help Bucky prove, that he didn't do the things well, by choice, he didn't do the things that he did, as well as solve some other mystery stuff. And then, conflict ensues, that sweet airport fight. I think you've seen it in the trailers, them colliding, them running towards each other. There's so much to that fight. It's awesome. Spider-Man is awesome. Jesus, Spider-Man is awesome. It's, how, if you haven't seen any other reviews, how, people are saying, Spider-Man, this is the best Spider-Man ever on film. And I have to almost agree. I agree. Like, this is the best Spider-Man that's been on film. Because, Tobey Maguire, he was good. He brought a certain aspect. But, him being older, he's an older actor. And then, certain things they did in the film, like, I don't think it brought out enough of the Spider-Man is. That's still good. Andrew Garfield, they made Spider-Man. He was good, but I just feel like that directing style, Mark Webb, how they had him talk is more like awkward talking, and everything. And he still did good, you could tell he cared about the character, but I think it felt like with Tom Holland, which is the current Spider-Man, him being young, like when they cast him, he was like 18. He's probably like 19 now, maybe. And, him being a teenager. And, then hearing that voice, like his voice is very kind of like a low pitch, it doesn't sound like a man's voice, he sounds like a kid, because he is a kid. He's in high school, and, dealing with high school stuff. So when you meet him, and he's in that airport fight, he's in the airport fight, you've seen him probably in like the final trailer, he shows up there. And, when he's there, all his stuff, like every character in that scene has their oh yes moment. On both sides, that fight, they really have where like, oh no, it's not about, okay, who's winning in this fight, and you put your room for one side. You're kind of like, I want to see both these heroes do this cool stuff. I mean, ultimately, in my opinion, you know what Cap is doing is probably for the best, and you want him to succeed in it. But when during that fight, when you see them beating each other up, when one gets one up on the other, you're not like, oh, or oh, you're like, this is awesome. And the music to that fight, it doesn't change whenever what side, gets one up. It stays the same. It's kind of just, crazy, heroic, and it's awesome. Black Panther, Jesus. Black Panther. Alright. I was curious about him as much as I was Spider-Man, how they're going to handle him, but awesome. He's really prominent in the film, to me, more than I thought he was going to be, because he has a personal investment in, what's going on. That's why he's on Iron Man's side, if you could tell. Remember, he's on Iron Man's side from trailers and stuff, and, he has a reason, and you understand his reason. And I think it was a really good resolution to, his reasoning and everything at the end. Scarlet Witch, awesome. Vision, awesome. Ant-Man was just fun. He was, Jesus, he was just so fun in all his scenes. I mean, the characters, they didn't exactly have a lot of screen time, but the time that they had, you didn't care that they were. I mean, you cared because you want more of them, but how much you got, you felt satisfied in the end. You're like, they were there for they were only there for this, but you're satisfied that what they did in that scene, you didn't feel like, oh, they underused them. No, they used them correctly. It makes you kind of excited. Sorry. It makes you kind of excited for what else they're going to do with them in the future, and it's awesome. The main villain, because there is actually a main villain, and Zemo, that's the character name, which in the comics he's different than what he's in this. I remember hearing people say, oh, another disappointing Marvel. I actually wasn't disappointed with this character. He was actually really, I thought his reasoning and story was actually good. And ultimately, okay, once I get into the spoiler section, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to draw a lot of comparisons to freaking Batman v Superman, because honestly, not just because it's a versus movie, but they do have a lot of similar beats. And I have to compare them, mainly because, more in response, because even people who like the movie are like, oh, if you like the movie, that's good. But people who defended the movie was kind of saying like, oh, well, this is better than Marvel movies, those hardcore DC fans, which oh, sorry about that. Right in the middle of my I can't even edit this. I don't know how to edit. But what I have to draw these comparisons because a lot of things that was in Batman v Superman, that story almost kind of in Civil War, but it was better. So yeah, overall. Oh yeah, and also say, as far as whose side is who's the good side, it's really hard to tell. I mean, ultimately, I think you might agree with Cap. In the end, you feel it, he's probably the most right. But you can't say, Tony Stark and his side wanting to, work with the government, be, official with the government and all that stuff. Exactly, they're coming from a wrong place. It's like, it's all kind of like, you understand why they want to do it, and the intention isn't bad. But, when you hear why Cap wouldn't do it, you're like, yeah, that's true also. So it's like, I mean, I think, as far as my opinion, who would I side with? I think I lean more Team Cap, just because, ultimately I think Cap has a point, and while Tony, his point is really good too. I think, if it was me in that situation, I'm like, yeah, I'd probably Team Cap. But this is when I go into spoilers. So if you want to know as far as what I thought, I want to say, for me, 10 out of 10, honestly. I loved it. So yeah, spoilers. As far as spoilers go, okay. So this is when I'm going to start talking about Batman v Superman and why I'm comparing the two. So essentially, the movie starts off, you got, it shows Cap and his crew, and they're, like, in this country, I can't remember where, But essentially, they're going after Crossbones. You know, the one of the dudes that's part of that strike force in Winter Soldier that that Cap had to fight. That got that building fell on him and he survived. So yeah, he's in this country. He's trying to steal like this biological weapon or whatever, and Cap has to stop him. And essentially, in the fight, Cap beats him. But Crossbone's like, screw it, I'm gonna blow us up. He has his bomb vest on. And he pulls it, but the Scarlet Witch contains the explosion, just let him blow up, and he throws him up in the air, and he blows him in the air. Unfortunately, Scarlet Witch kind of screws up, because, so happens, she didn't throw him far enough away from the building that they're near. So he blows up right next to the building, and these few floors that are up there get really damaged, and people died. Some people died. And, she feels responsible, and the government's also like, hey, that's y'all guys' fault. You guys need to be controlled and handled. So they're like, oh, well, so that's when the Sokovia Accords come in, which is based off of what happened to Sokovia, Age of Ultron, because you remember the whole little small country got lifted up and about to get hidden to Earth, but then it blew it up. People died in that, and people after that they started looking back at back in the first Avengers with New York, and then everything that happened, Winter Soldier, and everything that's pretty much happened up to now. They're like, yeah, like this is like 9/11 level stuff happening. If not, it's like happening like every other year, if not every other like month, when you think about it. And in that world, you'd be afraid. So yeah, so like they're like, hey. And Tony Stark, he kind of feels guilty about it because, he's more responsible for what happened to Sokovia and Age of Ultron than anybody because he made Ultron. But, so yeah, he's like, I'm game, this lady came up to him and said, hey, my son was there, I blame you, and he kind of feels guilty, and and then he kind of thinks about it. And his reasoning, I think, are more better than what it was in, the comics. But, so... Then, Cap, he's, like, against it because he's saying, working for the government. Yeah, it's like, all it's doing is, it's still on us. We're just shifting the blame. And then at the same time, he's like, government's agendas change all the time, which is true. So, what if they send us into a place that we don't want to go, to do a mission we don't want to do, that's wrong, based off of their agenda, or they don't send us to a place that we should go, based off of their agenda. So it's like, we're at the mercy of the government, which, Cap, after Winter Soldier, seeing, even though that was Hydra, but still, it's like, agendas change all the time. It could feel that someone else's agenda is, you see where Cap's come from. You see where Iron Man's coming from, too, because it's like, you see, again, all these people are dying, and he feels like they should be in check, and you see why. It's not like black and white, whatever, but ultimately kind of lean more towards Cap's side. They don't even like villainize the government. They kind of just like, hey, this is my opinion. They kind of douches about it still, but anyway. But then it gets worse, because at first it's just like, Cap's like, yeah, I'm not going to sign it. But then at the little hearing where, they're going to make it official, and you got the people from Wakanda, the king of Wakanda, and his son, the Black Panther there. And, they're going to do this. But, then a bomb goes off. People die, including the king. Black Panther's pissed. And, reportedly, everyone thinks, from a picture, it's Bucky. So now Winter Soldier's after Bucky. You want him dead. He's awesome. I mean, he's kicking Bucky around. They're bucking down this road, going past cars, jumping off of them. It's insane. And, but, Cap knows, something's more to this. At first he's like, okay, bring Bucky in because, if this is him, I feel responsible enough to bring him in. But I don't want him to die because he knows these people are just going to try to kill him. But then once he brings them in, he started to realize, wait, this makes no sense. Why would, all this happen? So we come to find out that there's other agendas. Zemo is actually orchestrating this. And, so Cap eventually helps Bucky after this event where Bucky, breaks out because Zemo activates his Hydra programming, uses some words, and makes him cooperative. He sets him loose, and after Cap and him have a tussle, he actually takes Bucky away. He doesn't turn back in, and he gets information on him, and now they're on the run. Him, Sam, Wilson, the Falcon, and the rest of their recruits, they get together. And now, Tony and them, they're not like personal or anything like that. He just like, I need to bring them in because I can't let the government bring them in, because if they do, they might actually try to kill him. So it's better for me to do this. Him, Black Widow, and the rest of their crew. So so they're like, okay, gonna do this, gonna bring them in. But this is a big fight. So it comes ahead when they're at this airport again. Ant-Man, you got Ant-Man, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, and Falcon, all of them. Then you got Iron Man side. He gets Spider-Man with Spider-Man again, awesome. Yeah, a great scene when he recruited him. It's Spider-Man, Black Panther, Black Widow, Iron Man, War Machine, Vision. He's overpowered. So is Scarlet Witch though, so it works. Yeah, they have this big tussle, and then at the end, the rest of the Cap's team stays behind and lets him and Bucky escape on in this jet. And in the tussle, Vision tries to shoot down Falcon, who's trying to stop Iron Man and Rhodey from getting Cap and Bucky, but he misses Falcon, and he hits Rhodey in his little chest piece, and he falls, he hits the ground, and he's hurt. And so this whole conflict with that. But then we come to find out that Tony figures out that, hey, the Zemo dude's actually behind it, everything, and he gets Falcon to tell him where Cap went. He told him he's on his side now. He goes find him, and he's like, listen, I'm here, I'm on your side now. So they think that Zemo is there to wake up these other Winter Soldiers, because it turned out Hydra had used Bucky at one point back in 1990, 1991 or something like that, and to crash his car, on the road and take the super soldier formula that they had in there. Which in the beginning you're like, oh, that's just a random car carrying the super soldier formula, whatever, I guess, okay. And then so they brought it back and they used it on these people and made them Winter Soldiers, made them super soldiers like Bucky, but they were kind of a little bit more ferocious and dangerous. But they're like the squad that they can use to conquer the world almost. And they're like, oh, he's gonna do this, so we need to stop him. Get there, they're all dead, and Zemo's like, yeah, kill them in their sleep while they're still frozen. I don't want that. His actual agenda was he wants to destroy the Avengers because he hates them because his family died during the whole Sokovia thing. And he's like, he knows he's not strong enough to do that, so the only way to do that is for them to kill each other, which of course they're not just going to do that until he shows them a video, and that's the video of when Bucky, crashed the car into the super soldier formula. It turns out in that car was Tony Stark's parents. Yeah, so they're in there, and you see, in the camera shows Bucky killed them. They didn't just die in a crash. He took out Howard Stark, and Howard Stark recognized him because, he was back there in World War II. Beats his face in, he's dead. Puts him back in the car and make it look like he died in the crash. And then goes over to his mother, chokes her to death. Now she's dead. And Tony sees this, and you see, the look in his eye, he just snaps. And it doesn't, it doesn't matter that Bucky was under control of Hydra. Like Captain said, he was not of his own will. He just doesn't care anymore because he had all this resentment about, not being close with his father and all this stuff. And everything, and at first it was like, oh, well, stuff happens, I had to live with it. But now he has someone to point fingers at, and realize that it's your fault, even though technically it's not his fault. And even while they're fighting, it's like, do you even remember them or whatever stuff? And Bucky's like, I remember all of them, And he's more mad at Cap too, because as we know, Cap kind of learned stuff back in Winter Soldier when he went down that bunker, saw that information that pretty much suggested that Winter Soldier killed Howard Stark. So he kind of pretty much knew that Winter Soldier did it. He just didn't tell Tony because he didn't want to hurt Tony and didn't want Tony to do something rash, which he ends up doing. So this whole fight breaks up, with them, and, Iron Man's after Bucky. He's trying to kill him. Cap is trying to stop him. They get to the point where they're all beating him up and everything, Bucky tries to rip off Iron Man's reactor. He blows it off. Winter Soldier's arm's gone. He knocks Winter Soldier down. He's about to kill him. Cap comes in. They're fighting. He blocks his energy blast. They keep going. Iron Man ends up analyzing Cap's movements so he could counter them. But then Cap ends up getting upper hand, smashes his helmet off. Then hits him in his reactor, shutting him down. The fight's done. He takes Bucky away. Iron Man's still kind of like, oh, you don't deserve that shield and all this stuff. And, he's like, oh yeah, well, and he drops it. He drops his shield. He leaves his shield behind, and he goes off with Bucky. And Black Panther had actually followed him. He overheard Zemo saying he did all this stuff. And after hearing what Zemo had to say, he's just like, all this is consumed around vengeance, and he won't be consumed by vengeance anymore. And, you see Zemo, he's like, oh yeah, whatever. You see him about to shoot himself, you think, oh, another dead Marvel villain. But no, Black Panther stops him, he saves him, he's still alive at the end of the movie. But he pretty much got what he wanted, though, that's the thing. They still split up. So it ends. Cap sends Iron Man a letter saying, hey, say I'm sorry about this, but, we're still friends or whatever. If you ever need me, call me. Give them a flip phone. Okay. And, it kind of ends there, and there's some after credit scenes, but, yeah. So the Avengers are pretty split, but they're still kind of cool. So, yeah, that's pretty much the movie. Now, all that stuff said, this is where I get into my Batman v Superman comparison. Okay, so they're similar in the way that, I heard people defend it saying, well, it's only the second movie of the DC Extended Universe or whatever it's called. And, so shouldn't be compared to the second movie of the Marvel Universe? No, because the plot is different. The second Marvel movie was The Incredible Hulk. That was fine on its own. That was a solo movie. The Batman v Superman was Batman, Superman, even Wonder Woman. Extra person thrown in there. And it was supposed to be about two different type of characters, which Batman and Superman are usually about two different ideologies, which they kind of almost try to throw in there, but they don't succeed. Who, they don't agree with each other, they don't like how they do the things, and then you got that shadowy figure in the background manipulating stuff, which was Lex Luthor. It's similar here, with some politics stuff. It's similar here with, you have Captain America, Iron Man, kind of two different ideologies about things, some politics stuff, and a shadowy figure in the background manipulating things, which was Zemo. The difference is, first off, Captain America, even if you like Batman v Superman, fine. But you can't say it's a better film, because as a film, editing, directing, action, the action was good in Batman v Superman, but just it was more meaningful here. And editing was better, transitions, the characters, the time, what they used the characters for. Everything was better pace. They're the same runtime as Batman v Superman. I couldn't tell. So I was like, this great. Everything was better. And then when you go into Zemo versus Lex Luthor. Okay. Lex Luthor is his whole plan was, okay, I don't like Superman because he's pretty much God. And, if you're all powerful, that means you can't be all good. And if you're not all good, you can't be all powerful. So I just don't like Superman, so I need him dead. And hey, I'm going to manipulate Batman into killing him because I don't do it myself. I have kryptonite. I could just get it here without anybody noticing. Easily. He didn't even need an import license that he was trying to get at the beginning. And he could have just did it himself, put it in Superman's apartment. When he walked in, boom, kryptonite goes into him, he's dead. The end. And then, conflict between Batman and Superman. You understand it, kinda, but to the point where, it got at the end where, Batman just wants to murder Superman because Superman could kill people. Okay? Compared to this, and you don't even understand how Lex Luthor was able to pull off this whole plan. He's just hey, I sent these guys these things, sent Batman letters, just kind of antagonize him, whatever, make him go want to face Superman and all this stuff. But there's no way he could put that all together, honestly. With Zemo, you could still say some things that maybe realistically you couldn't do, but it made more sense. You could follow it better. You understand why he and how he did it. Um, like he really didn't do anything to make Captain America and Iron Man at odds. They kind of went at that themselves, because of the whole Accords thing. And then he pushed it further with the little Senate thing, where he blew up the thing and made Cap want to go save Bucky, while he knows Iron Man and whoever's that have to come, stop him. So he kind of used their already established anger, whatever, and conflict that they're forced to already, because conflicting ideologies and what the government's telling Iron Man to do, and just lured him to a place where he's like, okay, now I'm going to push the button. And he really did, and at first I thought it was a negative where he allows this Ben Breakfast type person at the hotel. He was saying that to bring the thing up there and then see a dead body left. I was like, what was the point of that? And it leads to Iron Man figuring out that that he's the bad guy after all. And then after knowing that Cap would figure out where he was going from Bucky, because he asked Bucky about where the location is and all that stuff. Eventually Iron Man figure out, and then Iron Man wants to go there to help him, knowing that if when Iron Man gets there, just helping him, showing that video might trigger Iron Man, which it does. So even though you say, well, it's still kind of implausible in some ways, yeah, but it's easier to follow than Lex's plan. Lex's plan is hey, I'm just gonna, I don't like Superman just cause, and instead of doing this myself, he actually gives a reason, Zemo gives a reason, hey, yeah, you're the Avengers, what I'm gonna do, so I'm just gonna make you do this. Batman's just a human. There's no reason that Lex couldn't do this himself, in that scenario, because he has kryptonite. Kryptonite's just just a cheat all when it comes to Superman. You just, any normal person with kryptonite, go up to Superman, punch him in the face with it until he's dead. But with this, it's it's the Avengers. They're just these skilled, superhuman guys that the only people that can really probably take them on outside of Hydra or something like that, which they're not really there anymore, is each other. So it made more sense. And yeah, and then when it came to the politics of it all, because everyone was talking about Batman v Superman, they're gonna answer for what happened in the end of Man of Steel, where Superman was pretty much, without any regard to human life, having this grudge match with Zod, going through buildings and stuff, and they established people died in that, and we're oh yeah, they're gonna talk about this, and then when they finally get to, okay, Superman's there, he's gonna confront the problem, all this stuff, they literally just drop it, they blow it up, they blow up that plot line. And then now it's just about Superman moping. And, then he comes back because, they kidnapped Lois and his mom, and now he has to fight Batman. Not because he wants to, or because he, is putting, or because, what he wants to do conflicts with what Batman wants to do. Not because someone forced him to. Why? Because we need to have that fight. In this, the politics, it's in the background too, but it's more prominent, and it's really part of the focus of the conflict. And they actually stand on it. They don't just blow up that plot line. It's there throughout until you get to the end where it becomes more personal. And, they're fighting not because someone forced them to. I mean, Zemo triggered Iron Man and made him, fight, and made Captain America have to fight Tony to save Bucky. But literally, it's not something, one was forced to do, one just has the, personal thing too. It's literally, they both have a personal reason for this. And it's understandable. And it's no resolution oh, Martha, which I heard people try to say is deeper meaning to that. And I understand what the deeper meaning is supposed to be. Still not good. They don't make up at the end of this movie. They stay separate. I mean, you think, you get a hint that maybe Tony calmed down and he understands more, and everything. But they don't just make up and they just go back to their business. No, they stay split up, and they're doing their own things now. And, it's different. And, they could have done what Batman v Superman did, and just had some random villain robot or whatever coming at the end that makes them have to work together again and have to fight that thing. Which I thought they were going to do when they went to go find Zemo or something like that. Like they were just going to like drop their conflict and they have to focus on Zemo and fight like the super soldiers or something like that and work together. But no, the conflict again got back to Cap and Iron Man. And, you know, Zemo was just kind of there to like steer things on course to that collision, because all that didn't just come from Zemo doing stuff. That'd been there building up for a long time. And all Zemo had to do was play this little game to have it come to the surface. And so it was much better. It played out much better than that. You know, they didn't just like drop that political plot line. No, it's prominent. It stayed there. You know, everything made sense. If you don't like this movie, if you try to say this movie is bad, it's because you honestly, I don't see why you went to this movie, because obviously you don't like blockbuster superhero action movies. Because this is not even just a blockbuster superhero action movies. It's more than that. I can't really say. Like, Winter Soldier is like this political thriller. This is like a personal story about friendship. It's really about friendship, loyalties, responsibility. It's more than just, hey, we're going to go here to punch stuff and look cool doing it and just have this vague reason for doing it. You know, they have those big action pieces, but there's meaning behind those action pieces. It's not just, you know, them doing stuff just cause, you know. They're not doing anything out of character. Like in the beginning of Batman v Superman, where Superman first comes in, you think, oh yeah, he learned from, you know, Man of Steel, he's not gonna kill anymore. First thing he does, power drive this dude through a concrete wall at Mach speed. He's dead. No way around it, he's dead. And then we just drop it, and then Batman just kills a whole bunch of people throughout the movie. So, like, that's completely out of character. You know? Or at least it's not a character we can attach to or care about, really. I didn't care about Superman, you know, throughout that movie. I didn't care about his problems. I mean, I barely cared about Batman's problems. You understand why he doesn't like Superman, but you don't understand why he's on this murderous rampage to kill Superman. You know, it's like... I'm just saying, I know this almost sounds like a rap for Batman v Superman, but it's just because Civil War is so good that the fact that it made me notice even more things wrong with Batman v Superman, it's frustrating. Because I want DC to do good, like Marvel's doing. Not in the same way. They don't have to be all light and funny, but just do something better than what they're doing. You know, if that means dropping this tone, completely making the next movie almost a completely different tone than the last couple movies, fine. You know, at least you see that they're trying to do something that's actually good and not just like, oh, a certain style because Nolan did it. Batman v Superman. To me, it doesn't hold a candle to Civil War. I understand if you like it. There are things to like about it, but I'll say Civil War is a better film. It really is. And God, like Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's perfect. You know, you meet him. It's just like Peter Parker. You know, you meet Aunt May. Aunt May is hot. Aunt May is hot. She's young. She's hot. Yeah, that's what I say about Aunt May. But Peter Parker is a character. He's awesome. Black Panther. He's awesome. You know, you understand his character. You root for his character even when he's beating up Bucky. You know, you don't want Bucky to get hurt. But it's awesome seeing him get hurt by Black Panther. You know, and I kind of love how they don't dwell on the fact that Black Panther puts this big old scratch in Cap's shield because it's made out of adamantium, so it can cut through adamantium. Cap just keeps going on, going on. I'm like, hey, my shield. You know, it just keeps going on, going on. But yeah. Overall, Civil War was great. I know I was just kind of rambling, but I want to talk about this movie. It's really good. Oh, jeez, I've been going over 30 minutes. If you listen to this whole thing, I don't know why. It was me just talking and ranting, kinda. But yeah, thank you for listening. Overall, yeah, Civil War is great. I recommend you see it. You know, if I get an opportunity to watch it again in theaters, I probably will. You know, it's go see it. Go see it. And there's 2 after credit scenes. If you're interested in after credit scenes, there's 2. Yeah, they're pretty cool. Those are pretty cool. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.